Story 1. Am I the a-hole for getting angry at mother-in-law when she refused to give my baby back? My mother-in-law was holding my 6-month-old baby when I was having breakfast. I stood up and said, "I'll have her," and she said, "No, finish your coffee." I got a bit annoyed and said, "No, I will take my baby back," and reach for my baby. She giggled, pulled away, and said, "No." My husband was in the room too and was laughing as well. I got visibly angry and told her not to joke about this and give my baby back. I think it took another try or two when the mother-in-law was pulling away and keeping my baby. I was the only one angry, and mother-in-law and husband were laughing at me. When I got my baby back, my husband took her away from me. I removed myself from the situation to calm down. My husband thinks I'm the a-hole for reacting like this. Am I the a-hole? Just to clarify, I didn't get up suddenly and demanded anything. We have a great relationship and we're always friendly and positive. Mother-in-law handles the baby all the time as we're staying at in-laws for Christmas and have been here several weeks already. I didn't yell or throw hands. I cried in privacy after leaving the room. Not really. Would you get in the way of a baby chimp in front of their mother? Would you take away a lion cub around a lion? If a mom is asking for their baby back and they're being calm about it, well, even if they aren't being calm about it, give the baby back. It's not your baby. Might be family, not your baby. Give the baby back. Story 2. I left 40 guys standing in the rain after a 12-hour shift. Up until fairly recently, I worked as a camp bus driver in a major industrial area. What my duties were was to pick people up from the camp, where they lived for a certain amount of time. I was 2 weeks in, 1 week out, and take them into the plant and drop them off at a variety of drop-off areas, depending on what their job was. Then pick up anyone that was returning to the camp for their rest period. Now, there were certain designated areas for the buses to pick up and drop off. You know, a bus stop. And only buses were supposed to be parked in those areas. The issue was that people would keep parking their work pickup in the bus areas and block us off. We kept asking them to not do that. They kept doing it, and eventually it all boiled over when a higher up in the company started giving us smeg over picking people up out of the designated areas, because people kept blocking the areas with pickups. We explained why we did it, and the higher-ups promised to do something about it, but never did. The second time that higher-ups gave us smeg over picking people up out of our designated areas, my manager told us, the bus drivers, that the next time this happened, we should let him know via radio and then just leave. So that's what I did. Now, we didn't just spring this on our passengers. We made sure that every single one of them knew that the next time it was blocked off, that the bus would just continue on its way and leave them behind. When I spread the news to my passengers, I heard a lot of laughter and could tell that they didn't believe me. However, the next day, it happened again. There were pickups in our areas once again, and like the good little minion I was, I did as I was directed. Got on the radio to my manager, let him know what was happening, and left. I understand that there were a number of interesting phone calls afterwards, but we never had a problem with pickups in our area afterwards. I wonder if this driver got the side-eye from some of the pickups or anything. But as far as this story describes it, they gave fair warning. They asked several times. These people just blew them off. Now they're facing the consequences. Just not quite malicious compliance. It's just pretty much compliance to the manager. They had no choice. Story 3. Kicked out at 16. Parents took all my money. 3 nights ago, my parents and I got into a huge fight. I'm not a Christian. They're extreme Bible thumpers. I am bisexual. They believe I'm going to be burning in hell. I was forced to come out of the closet due to blackmail reasons, and my parents kicked me out. I managed to get my dogs and my keys, took my car, and left. We just moved to this state, so I have no friends. My siblings all have the same beliefs as my parents. My related family is all thousands of miles away. Last night, my parents cut off my phone plan and told me they're kicking me off of their insurance. Right now, I'm on my own with 2 large dogs, Pit Bull and American Bulldog, sleeping in my car. My parents forced me to quit my job last week so I could focus more on school. Last night, I checked my bank account. My parents drained the $1,000 savings I had in it. It was completely empty. I'm just scared and don't know where to turn. I primarily want to be able to take care of my dogs. I don't want to give them up, but I'm not sure how much longer I can without neglecting them. Giving them up would be out of absolute desperation. I will not give up on them easily. Having them around has protected me from many bad situations. I live in Tennessee. Any advice would be helpful. I also don't want to return back home. My mother is abusive. DCS has seen physical evidence of abuse, black eye, bloody scratch marks, bruises, and placed me back in the home. They're useless. These parents seem to be thinking they can scare their child straight. That it's just a phase, maybe. That's probably what they're thinking. But if you don't believe what this person believes, then why drain their bank account? I mean, are they thinking this is for her own good because this person is living on their own, no money, and it's the parents' fault? They just don't want to let her live like this. I don't know what advice I could give. I hope there are some resources that this person can get a hold of to be able to take care of themselves, to be able to get some help and get back on their feet. Story 4. Previous homeowner wants to come back and take their landscaping. Received a peculiar message this morning from the previous owner of my home. They want to know if they can take the hydrangea bushes from the backyard and front of the house as they're of sentimental value. We're talking at least a half dozen bushes, the kind that grow like trees. They're massive, and they're a part of the charm of our little cottage. And frankly, I don't want to see them go. I feel that I bought the property, landscaping included. We've lived here for 2 years, and this is the first we've heard of the sentiment attached to these plants. I'd be willing to offer a cutting from one of the plants, but I'm so afraid that if I give an inch, they'll take a mile. It just rubbed me the wrong way that they felt they could ask for my landscaping. I think there's some sort of landscaping statute of limitations here that's gotten passed. Why did they wait 2 years to ask? And I don't think that they have any kind of hold on this stuff if they decided to take it through legal proceedings. I mean, they've had enough time. Maybe they should have taken it with them when they moved. Or, yeah, I know they might not have had the ability to take it when they moved. But, yeah, it's very weird to ask for it at this time and claiming sentimental value. Weird. Story 5. Today I fracked up by yelling, "I'm bisexual, you ignorant idiot," at church. This was around 5 minutes ago. I feel so nervous right now. So I, 17 female, am bisexual, as said in the title. My family is very religious and most of them are homophobic. Today we had to go to church. Now for some background information here, I'm considered the perfect Christian girl, and it fracking sucks. I have to pretend to be someone I'm not just to satisfy many of these people. Today, I was in a really bad mood, and when my family and I went to church, they started talking about LGBTQ people. Nothing out of the ordinary. I don't know what came over me, but I started to defend them. Definitely didn't look suspicious. When I was in the middle of an argument with an adult, this kid said, "You sound so gay right now defending those abominations." I snapped and said, "I'm bisexual, you ignorant idiot." Best way to come out. Anyway, The realization didn't hit me until 5 seconds later. Currently, I'm in the bathroom typing this. Well, again, I hope that there are some resources that this person can fall back on. I don't know of anything like this, and I don't know how this family is going to react. I mean, it says they're homophobic, but are they the type to blow up? Are they the type that are going to kick this person out? I mean, this is going to be the way that marks her life changing forever. I really hope that there are clear and leveled heads here that are able to discuss things at least.
Please like and subscribe if you made it this far. I hope you'll enjoy the rest of the video and have a wonderful day.
Story 6. Bank won't make change. I close my account instead. This happened a few years ago. I was working at a large national chain restaurant as a manager. I was asked to temporarily reassign to a location in a city about an hour away, and accepted. They put me up in a hotel, the whole 9 yards. The first weekend I was there, I discovered that the general manager had messed up and not ordered any change, small bills, rolls of coins for the safe, and that the local branch of our bank would be closing in the next hour. I also happened to have a personal account at the same bank, and had in the past gone and gotten change from the branch bank before. Since time was tight, I quickly looked up the address of the bank, grabbed $800, and jumped in my car. I get to the bank, wait in line, and then ask them to make change. $400 in $5 bills, $300 in $1 bills, and $100 in assorted rolled coins. The teller tells me that the bank doesn't make change. Me, thinking it was because they didn't know me, informed her that our restaurant had an account she could look up. She then told me, "No, we don't make change at all." The thought going through my brain was, what the hell? You're a bank. I tried explaining the situation, but was quickly shot down. I left, went back to the car, then had an idea. I went back inside the bank with my personal checkbook, got to the front of the line, and luckily, the same teller. Before she could even greet me, I held out my checkbook and told her I would like to close this account since this bank is no longer customer service oriented. She kind of rolled her eyes, but went about my request. Then she asked how I wanted my cash back. An automatic response, I'm sure, and one I was counting on. I said $400 in fives, $300 in ones, $70 in rolled quarters, $25 in rolled dimes, $4 in rolled nickels, and $1 in rolled pennies. The rest can be on a cashier's check. No reason for her to deny it, so I got my change. And the following Monday, I returned, closed out the other 2 accounts I had there, and I opened accounts at different banks where I had been banking ever since. You're trying to get change. You had to get change for your work? Hopefully you have employers that appreciate you going above and beyond like this. But yeah, a bank that doesn't make change, where are you supposed to go then? Where can you go if the bank doesn't make change? Everyone else is sitting around here saying, what are we, a bank? And then the bank is like, what, are we expected to make change? Yes, you're a bank. Story 7. My daughter left daycare and ran into the street, and nobody noticed until a stranger found her. Just started work for the first time since having my daughter 2 years ago. Left her at a daycare with a group size of 11 and 3 care providers. On the second day, I was driving and saw her walking down the street several blocks from the daycare with a woman I had never seen before in my life. I jumped out and asked what was going on, and the woman said she'd found my daughter a block away, even further the opposite direction from the daycare, walking in the middle of the road, and she was taking her to the police station. I have no reason to doubt the woman's intentions because there was a police station on the road. I drove my daughter back to the daycare, and the caregivers were unaware she was even missing. I was in such a state of shock and panic, thinking of everything that could have happened to my daughter if she hadn't been discovered by a good Samaritan, that I just calmly asked questions gathered information, wrote it all down, and sent it in an email to the owner to get a timestamp and confirmation of the events, as well as notify them we would be withdrawing her. This occurred on a Friday, and I have yet to receive a response. I'd like to know if I can take legal action against them for endangering my daughter, and if I can alert the other parents as to what occurred so they can keep their little ones safe without opening myself up to slander charges. Thanks. Again, this is for the people who have legal expertise on this. I'm not sure what the recourse is. It sounds like you have a strong case if you got the person that was taking them to the police station to be a witness as to this child walking in the middle of the road. I am so glad she's safe. Does anybody know what legal recourse they can take? Let me know. Story 8. Don't mess with an engineer. I work for a company that provides specialized equipment used in manufacturing. To protect my anonymity, I'll have to be vague about what exactly this machine does. During my time working in this field, I got to know many clients who would need these machines installed and serviced. One of these customers we'll call Jake. I later left the company for a different job, but Jake apparently kept my number. One afternoon, I got a call from Jake that they wanted a new unit installed, and another unit needed maintenance and wanted to know if I was available. I let him know that I left the company, but that I could pass him on to someone who could help. He tells me he'll pay 2 times my current rate to install the unit over the weekend. He lets me know that the company has increased the rates for installation, and the company just can't afford it. The instructions they sent over just aren't clear enough, and the engineers are scratching their heads trying to figure it out. He begs me to consider it, and I agree. For more context, installing this unit can take a good few hours, or up to a day on your own. The company gives you 2 options. You can either pay for an engineer to come and install it, or you can save money and they will send instructions so the customer's own engineers can install it. The instructions aren't easy to follow, and it's company policy that if someone has started to install the equipment, the supplier wouldn't get involved since they couldn't verify that any of the pieces were broken. This will be important later. I drove down on the weekend, and they show me the boxes of equipment. I set to work, and I made good progress installing the unit. Around 6 hours in, and I'm stopped by Jake, who greets me. I let him know I'm nearly finished, and he tells me, "Sorry, but they just don't have the budget to pay you." He understands my frustration, but his engineers can take it from here. To say I was frustrated was an understatement. I wanted revenge. There's a small button inside the unit that changes the unit into test mode. This is done to perform maintenance on the unit, but it's impossible to configure the unit with this button pressed. It's only possible to reach this button using a pin, so it's not easily pressed during installation. Because of this, the installation instructions don't mention this. There's no real way of telling the equipment is in test mode. It just won't work normally. I think you can guess where this is going. I click the button, collect my things, and leave. Monday morning, I got a call from Jake. I declined. I knew my old company wouldn't get involved since I already started installing the unit. I knew his engineers would never figure it out. I just had to let him stew. A few days later, with many missed calls, I finally picked up. Jake is furious. He asks me where the hell I've been and why I haven't been picking up the phone. He tells me they can't figure out how to configure the machine and they need my help. I tell him, "Why is this my problem? You won't pay me." He told me he was sorry and that they would work something out if I could get there as soon as possible. I told him, "Oh no, you're going to pay me £7,000 up front before I do anything." I never felt this powerful before. He screamed at me for a bit and hung up. He called back a day later after saying he's sorry for how he acted and said that if I could come fix it, he would pay me, in a totally defeated tone. He tried to fight it, saying he'll pay when I was done, but I was having none of it. After a bit of back and forth, he agrees to pay me. The money hit my account, and I came in the next day. The look of confusion over his face when I took out a pin and changed the unit from test mode was priceless. It was even more priceless seeing his reaction to me packing up my tools and leaving after only 20 minutes of configuring. Easiest 7,000 pounds I'd ever made. Don't try to mess with a professional problem solver. Shady. Just shady. Good on this person for getting what they were owed for all their work. It was just awful of them to just really do what they did. And excellent that he had a way out. Just at the push of a button. I wish all things could be resolved so easily.
Please leave your story in the comments. I would love to make a video on them in the future. Also, don't forget to like and subscribe.